Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Thank God it's Friday. TGIF here with you, 9:07 p.m., February 13th, 2026. St. Valentine's Day Eve. I already talked to somebody about St. Valentine's Day. They were like, Happy Valentine's Day. I was getting my milk for the 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, I got to go get milk. And I was at the farm, and they said, Happy Valentine's Day. You want some flowers? I explained to them who St. Valentine's was. She actually was listening. I was not expecting that. But get the perfect time to evangelize out there, ladies and gents. You can't go anywhere. You go shopping, you go to the grocery store, you go somewhere. It's going to be Valentine's Day 24/7 for the next 24/7 out of 24 hours. Use that to your advantage. Explain to them, if they say Happy Valentine's Day to you, say Happy St. Valentine's Day to you too. Do you know who the guy is? Most of them have no clue. It's actually a person. So yeah, she was her mind was a little bit blown that I explained to her that, he was a martyr and a bishop of the church. And it's only because of Hallmark that you guys act like it's some kind of thing with doohickey. He was involved in a marriage, and that was why he was one reason why he was killed. But yeah, get into the know who you are. It's the whole idea of be able to answer for the hope that is in you type deal. But a perfect time for evangelization. Let people know on social media, Facebook, all that. I love giving my atheist friends, some teammates back in the day, tell them, say, hey man, hey Nuzzard the love buzzard, they call him. Nuzzard, why you don't believe in any of this. Why you celebrate Christmas? Because he says Merry Christmas. I said, why you celebrate St. Valentine's Day? Why you celebrate you celebrate all our feast day, but you don't like it. It's always fun to do that. Usually they're not consistent in anything they say, but it gets them thinking. Especially if you see a good Protestant. Explain to them what St. Valentine's Day is. Make sure you have the in there. Make sure they know it's a saint and not just some made-up idea. Anyways, let's get right to it. Proposed Tennessee bill says private businesses need not recognize same-sex marriages. Chattanooga, Tennessee. A bill filled with Tennessee general. I know of UT Chattanooga State. We played against Chattanooga State when I was in JUCO. And for us, for where I was, for Spartanburg Methodist College, where I played JUCO ball, to get there, you had to do a V cut down into Georgia and all the way back up. There was no straight line to get to there. It was a 5-6 hour drive, nowhere which way you went. And the straight line would have been 2. A bill filed with the Tennessee General Assembly looks to change the rights of same-sex couples who want to get married. Read the bill here. In one of the several bills addressing the rights of LGBTQRS47 / community this legislative season, the bill would amend the Tennessee Code to specify that public businesses and citizens are not bound by the federal ruling that recognizes same-sex marriages. Holy cow, this is borderline nullification. Under the Supreme Court case Obergefell versus Hodges, same-sex marriage is protected as a right under the Miracle Amendment, that is the 14th Amendment, that was never really ratified. And it's nothing to do with any of the things that's been used for. Bill sponsor Representative Gino Bulser says, quote, private citizens of Tennessee are not bound by Obergefell. The bill just simply states that explicitly and makes it crystal clear. Wow. There was a heated reaction on the floor. How dare you? Where's Greta? Why? After a vote on Representative Gino Bulser's bill, Bulser said it aims to clarify that no public citizen or organization in this state is required to recognize a same-sex marriage. He recalled the firestorm around the restaurant Chattanooga and says it shows the need for clarification. There was quite a bit of publicity about a local pizza parlor that I believe declined the opportunity to cater a ceremony that somehow was connected with the marriage of individuals of the same sex. Wait, if they try to bring this to the Supreme Court, this would knock it down. I guarantee this thing would knock that out of there. Using the 14th Amendment, going, yep, that's not what the 14th is about. So for someone to say, you guys, I will get you guys to embrace federalism because this is federal. That's how you win. So for someone to say that this issue has not arisen in Tennessee is simply not accurate. Dr. Michel Deerdorf with UTC, University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, says there's a gray area when it comes to bills dealing with SSM. What this bill does and what other bills like it that are coming up simultaneously, it steps into a void that currently exists in discrimination law, where the federal government has not explicitly applied the Civil Rights Act of 1964 in terms of they can't do that. That's why they want them to do that. That's the only way this thing will ever stand. They want to get them in the Civil Rights Act of 64, but it has nothing to do with that. That's the only way they keep that in a federal, in the national market on this. Outside of that, this thing is dead on arrival. DOA. Should have been DOA on the first day, but no one has the guts to proclaim states' rights anymore. Marcus Ellsworth with the Tennessee Equality Project of Hamilton and Bradley County days. Some of the things we're seeing this year are reiterations of past attempts to pass such laws, but we do see it in the foreseeable future as long as these representatives are in office. Ellsworth says the organization worries it could be a gateway to legal discrimination, blah, 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 whatever. State Representative Bolster also sponsored a bill that would prohibit LGBTQ arrests of pi squared, the exclamation point, squiggly line, or emblems from being displayed on any state property. Great, googly moogly, good for him. Let's click on the bill for a second. Mamma mia, which one is it? Children's and Family Affairs Subcommittee, on the rules, pass file for. Man, did they even tell you what it was? Read the bill here. File tenants, it looks like change. Maybe it's this one. File for no, none of those are linked. Maybe that is. Maybe that's HB 1473. You just can't read the darn blasted thing. Let's go over here. It says, okay, right. Oh, here it is. Marriage as introduced states that private citizens and organizations are not bound by the 14th Amendment or the Supreme Court's decision at Obergefell versus Hodges to recognize a marriage between individuals of the same sex prohibits the board of professional responsibility from disciplining or sanctioning an attorney for decline. That is literally nullification right there. Okay. That states' rights, that's nullification. That is saying that we do not recognize the unjust and illegal ruling from SCOTUS and saying that there's not bound by you're not bound by the 14th or the Supreme Court. That's nullification. We do not recognize. Man, good on Tennessee. Rocky Top. Hey, Rocky Top. Anybody? I know there's some people that the regulars know that I'm a little bit early, about literally 40 minutes early to the show. So they're going to be upset when they see that we're 40 minutes in and they're just catching up. When you guys find out about this, I mean, tell this to others. Get some. My goal is to get priests to start figuring out federalism and get out of this nationalistic centralization idea. Because we start doing that, we start winning. Yeah, the hashtag winning thing. It's not voting harder for the federal government in 2028. No, in South Carolina this year they're going to have a gubernatorial election. That's your important one. We're having my area, my county's having a sheriff vote this year. That's an important one. What's going on in DC should not even be on your radar. And I would say anytime when people start talking about the voting for, demands or rights, your duty to right to vote, yes, at the local level, at the state level, you know for a fact now that that everything in DC is pretty much gobbledygook. It's team party politics. It's fixed. It's rigged. Nothing you do is going to change the Titanic. You better think about local. That everybody's wondering about how do we get rid of abortion? How do we get rid of Roe? What happened? State rights. Got rid of they used the 14th. They said it was not. That was an illegal use. That was a wrong use of the 14th, which Clarence Thomas has actually said we need to look at more of these. How many other of these are not or being? They were pretty much not used correctly, using the 14th in the wrong way. That's why they call it the Miracle Amendment. It's literally used for any reason whatsoever. This would be knocked down if something like this comes up that goes. This can be knocked down by the fort using that idea. We're not recognized 14th. They have no argument on that. They know that's correct. SCOTUS would know that would be a correct thing. What these guys are doing. Again, people hate it. Federalism, right, or good or bad, wherever you're at. It's that idea from Schumpeter about the freedom. His quote is, and he was he lived in a concentration camp for a while. They say people love the sound of it, they love the word, but the actual practice of it, they don't quite like it. Again, California can be California, Tennessee can be Tennessee, Alabama can be Alabama, Maine can be Maine, Minnesota can be Minnesota. If you live in Connecticut, you shouldn't be worried about what Wyoming does. If you live in Colorado, you shouldn't get up worrying what Massachusetts does. If you live in North Carolina, you shouldn't care what Idaho does, and all that. You see where I'm going with this. But this right here, that's nullification. And we should applaud it. We need more of it. In some good news, The Verge says Ring cancels its partnership with Flock Safety after surveillance backlash. They got cream from that commercial. As Wade says, cancels, quotation marks. Nicholas, wait till people find out that Alexa monitors their house 24/7 and sends every sound back to Amazon servers. That includes arguments, private conversations, love making noises. People bugged their own houses and they paid for the subscription. But so we'll see what the Verge has to say. Flow and mounting pressure in the questionable Super Bowl ad. The Amazon-owned company walked back its plan to integrate with the controversial law enforcement tech company. I have to sign in. Skipping that. I can't read it anyways. John Scott Railton, breaking. Ring just canceled their partnership with Flock. Now should you just trust Ring now? No. After all, they thought this was a good idea. But this shows that pressure works. Be the backlash against surveillance that you want to see in the world. Voice your disgust over surveillance grabs and show it by canceling subscriptions and tossing devices. Yes, I would say I don't have a Ring, but I would say if anybody had 2 working brain cells and you did have Rings, I don't care where you're at, take that stuff and throw it in the garbage and let them know you did it. Just hit them in the pocketbook. But not everybody would do that. Guaranteed. I mean, not everyone on our side would do that. So they showed us cute missing dogs, and we consented to a mass human tracking system. I think Rings wants to be Flock on steroids. Yeah, probably so. Because instead of just sketchy cameras in the parking lots, Search Party will cover your own backyards and homes. And if you and your neighbors want to challenge the loss of privacy, well, how exactly would that do it effectively? Because instead of going to the city council looking for contracts and calling out your mayor for speeding your city of dystopia, it's massive and distributed. Will you even know which of your neighbors is now helping to feed the system? If we had half competent privacy regulators and laws in the United States, this kind of thing would be a big, hard fight for Ring. Really, you just did in the States. Talk about a fight. If your governor, say like DeSantis, ain't no Ring coming in here. No, you're not recording this. There you go. Instead, it's a Super Bowl commercial. Oh, and yeah, Ring has already partnered with Flock Safety to incorporate tools letting the government directly request for footage. So that was his tweet from February 9th, because remember, I know I'm the only Catholic that's brought this up. Ring and Flock combined in December 1st, 2025 to do this very thing. And I've asked the big guys, again, I mentioned this before, bigger names in the talking head industry on Catholic podcasts. Ain't none of them have a clue about it. If they did have a clue, they probably don't say it. They did, but none of them have an idea what I'm talking about or remain silent. They won't say anything back to me. Maybe it's my charming personality. I don't know, but yeah, I would say highly 100% chance we're the only channel that actually brought this up. Again, that's the only reason why I do it. You get the other guys start doing their job, doing it for a change, instead of cheerleading to the regime all the time and doing all the clickbaity type shows and doing false apparitions, things like that. Let's work to win something. Let's work to fix things out. I will stop doing this in a heartbeat. I would love to get back to doing other things in this hour and a half of prepping and getting the show together and then doing this. But hey, I like you guys too. Here's Jason Bassler. Border Patrol just brought full access to Clearview 60B image dragnet, the facial ID startup backed by Peter Thiel, who's in the White House. Its 20% error rate in tactical targeting could land you in a domestic terrorist database by mistake. But hey, Epstein friends are still cashing in. There's the link. There's the highlight of it. CBP signs Clearview AI deal to use facial rec for tactical targeting. Clearview is one of those things that Clear was using at stadiums like in Seattle, facial rec at airports, things like that. Let's see. This is just bad. I mean, the new Archbishop of New York opened up by singing Jay-Z and Alicia Keys. No, this isn't AI. He's singing New York. He doesn't sing it, but he's yeah, he's saying it. He's not singing it. But it's like, come on, you really got to do. You're singing New York. You know, you probably know the song New York. I don't think Alphonsus would have sung regular, pop culture songs. Like, you can name pop culture songs to use as an example, but I don't think that was the case. Speaking of AI, that's the reason why I put that in, is because AI video of Tom Cruise fighting Brad Pitt has top writer warning, quote, "It's likely over for us." A stunning viral video of Cruise versus Pitt has Deadpool and Wolverine screenwriter warning, Hollywood is about to be revolutionized, decimated, as MPA calls for the company to cease its infringing activity. I won't show it. I got the clip right. Here's some of the footage from it. Here's Jackie Chan versus Jet Li. This is from Sea Dance 2. When someone says AI is slop, here's what you say. That ain't slop. You might not like AI, but that ain't slop. AI slop is when you have like 15 fingers on Will Smith eating spaghetti. That would be slop. You wouldn't say that again. Hey, that's CGI slop. Yeah, let's be precise on everything. You may not like AI, but it's pretty good. Spider-Man versus Sun Wukong. Full Transformers movie clip. This is all AI, guys. Again, if this is slop, then so is everything that Michael Bay does. Luffy versus Gutko. I don't know anything about that. Seinfeld clip where George attacks Jerry and kicks him to the wall. Here's the Brad Pitt fights Tom Cruise. He's talking about the Epstein files, too. This is kind of funny. I mean, legit, that is dead on. Avatar, like 3D animated short film. Lost Scene from Dune. I've never seen any of them, so I have no idea what's going on here. Will Smith fights the spaghetti monster. They did that because of the whole spaghetti thing. Will Smith eating spaghetti was the first one, so they have to putting that in. Godzilla attacks the city. Elmo kung fu fighting. There's a full Nike ad with one prompt. Literally amazing. Darth Vader fights Thanos. That's pretty cool. And Outer flies a plane. Massive Kraken attacks a pirate ship. Anyway, this isn't hard to do. It's people that figure this out quickly and can cash in on it. Jingle fan, yeah, I'm good. How you doing? Yes, ask anything you want. Go for it. I'm gonna keep going, but yeah, I'll see your message. The 5 wildest revelations from bombshell Christy Nome Corey Lewandowski expose. No idea what this is about. Buck stops where he jealous. Apparently they're having a thing. Guns and blankets. Oh yeah, that was the next one. Noam and Ladowski is reportedly fired or demoted roughly 80% of the career ice field leadership that was in place when they started, but 2 specific stories retold by the journal stand out. In one instance, Noam had to switch planes after a maintenance issue was discovered, but her blanket wasn't moved to the second plane. She is alleged to have tried to fire the Coast Guard pilot responsible for flying her, who was told to take a commercial flight. The pilot was reinstated, though, after Noam and her team realized that he didn't have another pilot to fly them home. And then there's long, winding, and vengeful road Lewandowski took to getting a gun. It's a clown show. Again, that's why it's called Clown Planet. Everything is a clown show up there. You're from Brazil. Cool. You're from Brazil. Hi from Brazil. Hi from Chicago. Where are you? Jacko? Data? You're all over the place. Anyway, is Jingle? Are you guys Jingle and Joa? Are you guys real? Feel free to ask the question if you want, though. Chrissy Noam fires pilot over the blanket, but is forced to reinstate him to fly home. You're fired. Oh, you need to fly me home. You're hired. A partial shutdown looks almost certain, just like, was it 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? Every month. It's a monthly thing. Beginning of the month, it's kind of like the rap song. It's the first of the month. Partial shutdown time looks almost certain. TSA is warning of long waits and missed or delayed flights yet again. TSA, which shouldn't exist, officers who run airport checkpoints seem likely to skip work as they miss out on paychecks. Good. Hope they don't come back. There shouldn't be any of that anyways. All this is raining sheeple through the crowds to get in to go to your flight. Yeah, if people, you know what happened when they had the opt-out day? TSA didn't work that day. They let everybody right through. Look it up. See what happened. I witnessed Epstein's post-mortem. His death must be investigated. So this is going back to the Epstein didn't kill himself. Dr. Michael Baden raises questions about the suicide. He says he was strangled. Personally, I wouldn't be shocked if he's living on a beach somewhere, but I mean, Osama bin Laden, they tell you that he was all they did was what? They captured him in the middle of the night, killed the rest of the group that captured him, and threw his body off a boat. You never got to see the body. By the way, bin Laden and them were friends right throughout his whole history. And same thing with Epstein. They're all friends. So I think, you never know. This could be, I wouldn't be shocked if they're all alive somewhere. Here's from the Epstein Files X page. There's also this. There's also just this. Don't need to act like you're some super hacker. Keep fighting a good fight. We do appreciate it. Nancy May saying, yes, I will confirm. DOJ is tracking the Epstein documents members of Congress search for, open, and review. I was able to navigate the system today, and I won't disclose how or the nature of, but confirm the DOJ is tagging all documents members of Congress search open, all documents that members of Congress search, open, and review. Based on how I confirmed this, there are no timestamps associated with this tracking. And she says, I'm probably the last person you want in your software. And this is just a photo of that right there. This is what she had at the hearing. More on that here. Let me see. I'll play. Where am I at? Or StreamYard. There you go. I still got the New York song in my head. New York.
Because then I want, and I'm assuming so I'm pretty tech savvy. I played around with the system. They're tracking every file that we open. And when we open it, they're tracking everything. And you can see the way that they're tracking you when you're logged in, if you know where to look, like I do.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How do you
define that? I don't want to say because then I want them to hide it.
Right.
But I can see how they're tracking us.
Wow.
So they give each of us a login with their name attached to it. And every single file that we open, regardless of if we even read it, every single file that we open, that file is tagged with our name. So they get the search history and the files that we opened. Everything.
How easy is it to even navigate? What's the physical space?
It's like a Microsoft product. It looks like Microsoft from '95.
Like a computer lab.
Yeah, it's actually kind of hard to navigate. So like Microsoft from 95 was kind of clunky to navigate. This system is clunky.
Windows 95.
And Windows 90, Windows 95, and it's clunky. But by the second day I went today, I kind of got it all figured out and how to do what I need to do to find what I want to find.
Do you think there could be some court?
New York. As Owen Schroeder says, things are weird at the DOJ. Representative Mace insinuates that the DOJ is spying on committee members' activities with Epstein files. We saw AG Bondi had a search history of committee members at today's hearing. We also saw Epstein had access to Israeli spyware in some leaked photos. Again, here's the search history, people, right there. Here's the Epstein files again. Bondi and DOJ caught saving search history of congressmen and women when reviewing the Epstein files. Nothing says transparency and nothing to see here, like keeping track and printing out the documents they search to, keep tabs, and use against them. This just keeps getting shadier. J. Powell, Pramala search. Okay, J. Powell, Pramala search history. New Brazilian just arrived, sexy and cute, 19-year-old. Thank you for a fun night. The littlest girl was little. Yeah, that's from the emails. That's what they looked at. That Pramala looked at. We played this, but I didn't see the first part of it until this morning.
I'm going to show you two photos.
Thank you.
I'm going to show you two photos of former Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. Under the law Congress passed, you were allowed to redact photos to protect the victims of Epstein's sex trafficking operation. You redacted the photos of this victim's face because you were following the congressional laws.
Listen to what he says.
I'm sorry that we redacted the victim's
Because you were
face.
following the congressional
When she starts
law.
blasting him in a minute.
Yes.
Okay. You have now established that please put the photos back up, that we are looking at a sex trafficking victim. Under the Federal Victims Trafficking Protection Act, not only is Jeffrey Epstein guilty, but anyone who patronizes Epstein's sex operation is also guilty of a crime. That's why I find it absolutely despicable that you sought to protect Epstein's clients like former Prince Andrew. Last July, you closed the case on Epstein's abusers. The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice stated, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These two photos, please put the photos back up. These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew. So I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions.
So it's all to deflect that. Well, you didn't do this. You didn't ask the last guy. But listen to what he says back.
When he was Attorney General and set before
I agree with you.
you twice.
You hear it? I agree with you.
I agree with you.
You twice.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Never
I agree with
mentioned
you. I agree with you. During
She doesn't have a clue how to respond back because he said, I agree with you.
the
You not hear
during
that?
the Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball, as did Attorney General Bill Barr, as did Alex Acosta, a whole string of failures, but you are in charge.
So he calls, I agree. I agree. Yeah, Benedicta, you didn't get it because I scheduled this thing for 9:45 and I was able to start a little bit early. And I clicked the button to start. So no one got even a notification that the show was even going on, because what YouTube does, it gives you a 30-minute heads up notification and then the notification when the thing goes live. So I started at 9 o'clock, which was 45 minutes before that. So That's why. Hey, breaking news. The FBI has finally made its first arrest in the Epstein case. It's just someone dressed as a redacted box. Technocracy.news. The Epstein effects. Say goodbye to globalization. Low to technocracy. The Epstein files came as an opportune time to A, drive the nail into the coffin of globalization, and B, destroy all confidence in government. The vacuum will be filled by technocracy. Will arrest warrants be issued? Not likely. Will the scandals eventually be forgotten? Yes, but only after most people whose anger runs hot will throw up their hands at the political system altogether for good. Simply put, the old New World Order is over, handing the reins over to the New World Order, aka technocracy. You don't have to look at particulars of the Epstein files to see what's going on. This is by Patrick Wood, by the way. When I can't pronounce that name, Brzezinski wrote Between the Two Ages, America's Role in the Technocratic Era, he was speaking about three ages. The first era lay behind, which he said was full of religious myths. He was living the second era, which has persisted until just recently. The third technocratic era is dawning right now. The technocracy movement has always had murderous intent to do away with all politicians and political systems. It was baked into their definition in the 1930s. Quote, technocracy is the science of social engineering, scientific operation of the entire social mechanism to produce and distribute goods and services to the entire population. For the first time in human history, it will be done as a scientific, technical engineering problem. There will be no place for politics, politicians, finance, or financiers, racket, or racketeers. Technocracy will distribute by means of a certificate of distribution available to every citizen from birth to death. The Technocrat, 1937. You get those Trump accounts, right? The United Nations had murderous intent to destroy the economic system. Quote, this is the first time in the history of mankind that we are setting ourselves the task of intentionally, within the defined period of time, to change the economic development model that's been reigning for at least 150 years since the Industrial Revolution. This is probably the most difficult task we have ever given ourselves, which is to intentionally transform the economic development model for the first time in human history. Intentional timetable ability and action spell conspiracy. 3 years ago, the Trilateral Commission member declared that 2023 was year one of the Commission's new international economic order. After that, Trilateral Carl Starmer, UK Premier, says that globalization is over and we are now in a new era. If you can't or won't accept the testimony of all these sources, then you will never understand the big picture. For nearly a century, the builders of today's technocratic state class have articulated a technocratic replace for traditional politics, and we are now living through that transition. The Epstein files in that frame are not the core of the story, but the delegitimization accelerant to it. Because remember, there's a lot of fake stuff in there that'll make you look like a kook, but there's sprinkled with a lot of the truth. And most of the stuff is just email, so the context isn't there. And there's 3 million pages. No, there's no context, no nothing. And there's some despicable things, yes. But it ain't, and it's not all that. And there's no small detail that Epstein was himself a member of the Trilateral Commission. Translation, hey, we're getting paid. Yeah, Mark, sorry, man, I started early, that's why. Excuse me. Whoop, wrong one. This is Fox News.
It's different. She comes off like a shrieking Karen. You know, it's like, I want this country to do well. I want to be convinced that the president, I don't care what administration it is, that we're on the right track, and the people who are in charge of every aspect of the federal government, they have their position locked up, and they're doing the very best they can with an incredibly talented team. When she's this emotional, it looks like she's lost a little bit of the edge, and she seems very, very unpersuasive. It feels like the job is consuming her. She needs to tone it down a little bit. And, you know, she apparently had a burn book of insults that she was doling out to everyone. And when she said to Jamie Raskin, who is a total hack, when she said, like, you're not even a lawyer, he should have said, you're not even a real blonde. That would have been funny. But he doesn't.
Yeah, even big time GOPers and people that are behind it aren't happy with everything that's going on. Obviously, it's just the cheerleaders that are going, and she owned the libs and Trump. And just a reminder that on January 18, 2026, Pam Bondi told Miriam Adelson and her Israeli American counsel how the DOJ works for them. Now you understand Bondi's behavior today regarding the Epstein files. Remember, this is not hard to figure out. Trump. Miriam owns Trump. It owns the whole darn regime. Trump isn't getting rid of Bondi because that's what he wanted, because that's what Miriam and all the people that are paying the money wanted too. There's Bondi giving her a big hug. Miriam's getting her, she's got a good ROI. This is kind of funny. Let me play this real quick.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even?
The Dow right now is over 50, though. I don't know why you're laughing. That's what we should be talking about. The Dow right now. S&P at almost 7,000. The American people need to know this. Need to know how is the Dow.
Let me address the survivors, because that's
how is the Dow.
How many of
Anybody wants that for the ringtone, just let me know. I'll send it to you. And send it to a friend. Heads roll. Dubai billionaire whose close friend Epstein sent sick torture video email to is ousted as head of global ports film. There's people getting fired or stepping down, but that's not enough. There ain't nobody going to jail. Goldman Sachs top lawyer to step down following latest Epstein documents. Bank had been steadfast in its support of Catherine Rumor. Recent documents showed she was a close ally of Epstein's through his 2019 arrest. Yeah, that's outside of that. You're going to see people step down, but that's What did Ellie Boo say? Nothing in the Epstein files is shocking. There will be no prison time. Pure distraction. MAGA's dead. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's some terrible, horrific things. Like they were talking about babies learning how to get babies to do things that you're not, horrific ideas, just evil. But yeah, nothing in there is really shocking, especially if you know about the Franklin cover up and things like that. I mean, the Franklin cover up, no one got arrested in that thing. What do you think? Epstein's going to be different? He's like perfect, and that was perfect too. It's a pure distraction. Get the technocracy going. Wu-Tang is for the children. Post retweeting Aaron Rupert Levitt. Operation Metro Surge in Minnesota has been a resounding success. Wu-Tang says 2 innocent Americans were murdered by mass thugs and children were kidnapped and sent to Texas. But yeah, a resounding success. Now people are going to get mad at me about it because Holman and those guys said that they're leaving, and I saw a couple people trying to post, "Oh yeah, you said that anytime a state stands up to the feds," and they said something about they put up the Lee surrendering. Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about nullification. Anytime the state has stood up to the feds, anytime like that, except for the Civil Rights Act, the feds are back down. And really, I mean, if it weren't for the North trying to turn it into a moral thing with the slavery thing, because that was the only thing. It wasn't about slavery at all. They just used it at the end. France and England were about to come over and fight on the southern side. And why do you think the Native Americans were fighting for the Confederacy? And if you think like, oh, what? Huh? Read up on the Walk of Tears, the land. Was it the Trail of Tears? The Indians hated the DC for what they did to them. They fought for the Confederacy big time. By the way, the Native Americans had slaves too. No one cared about that. It's just white people that are racist. But the Native Americans, yeah, all those Cherokees, all those guys, they had slaves. Not saying slavery is a good thing. I'm just saying context. They had them, and they hated the North for what they did for taking their land. Why? Because Georgia, there was a gold rush in Georgia. You think the feds want it? You think DC? You think the president? They kicked them out to take their land. They do what a gold rush. Here's from Wired. Federal records reveal ICE is secretly expanding into 150 facilities across every state. I'll just let me give my voice a rest. Yeah, 7 minutes behind Benedicta. You'll catch up. How'd you like that first one? Tell you, nullification right there.
And DHS have carried out a secret campaign to expand their physical presence across the U.S., federal records obtained by Wired show. The documents reveal more than 150 leases and office expansions, placing facilities in nearly every state, many of them in or just outside of the country's largest metropolitan areas. In many cases, these facilities, which are to be used by street-level agents and ICE attorneys, are located near elementary schools, medical offices, places of worship, and other sensitive locations. In El Paso, Texas, for example, the agency is moving into a large campus of buildings right off.
Oh, yeah. Benedicta said not even eating kids are shocking. Well, you heard that during Podesta and all that during Pizzagate. So technically not too shocking because you heard of it already. Now that's shocking still, but they were doing the blood thing and all that. That was back during Brandon's time.
Of Interstate 10 near multiple local health providers and other businesses. In Philadelphia, ICE plans to share office space with one of the city's central DMV locations. In a wealthy community near Houston, ICE appears poised to move into an office building blocks away from a preschool. Why this rapid expansion? Since President Donald Trump took office in 2025, ICE has more than doubled in size. DHS claims the agency now has 22,000 officers and agents across the country, and they need office space. The General Services Administration, which manages federal buildings and functions as the government's internal IT department, is playing a critical role in this aggressive expansion. In numerous emails and memorandums viewed by Wired, DHS asked the General Services Administration explicitly to disregard usual government lease procurement procedures and even hide lease listings due to national security concerns. Altogether, the leasing plans we uncovered give a clear picture of where ICE is going next in the U.S. Everywhere. If you're interested in supporting our newsroom so we can keep
Again, you're going to see our side cheering for what's going on, and then it's going to come back and bite you in the butt. Here, remember about that story about the guy that tweeted about talking about he had 5 holes, 7 shots, or 7 shots, 5 holes?
A different story.
We are boxing.
This newly released body camera video helped undermine the government's version of events in the October shooting of Marimar Martinez in Chicago. Someone who the government claims rammed them and has repeatedly referred to her as a domestic terrorist. The video tells a different story.
We are boxing.
It shows the agent turning his steering wheel toward Martinez, which is proof, as her attorney says, that it was the agents that rammed her, not the other way around. In the collision and then the shooting of Martinez, you hear agents say this.
It's when the agents come up, I have to mute it because they say a bunch of wordy dirds, and then they start shooting. They say we got struck by a car after he turned the car on her. We used to don't move, all this stuff.
I heard 5 of them hit Martinez. She survived. The government also claims they were being boxed in. Well, this surveillance video calls that comment into question, with nothing in the path ahead of the border agent's vehicle at the time of the shooting. The court-ordered release also includes text messages and emails from after the shooting, including one message from Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino just hours after the incident, offering to delay the retirement of Agent Charles Exum, who shot Martinez and is now on administrative leave. The timestamp shows the email was sent at 3:11 p.m., which at that moment, Martinez was in the hospital fighting for her life, according to her attorney. And then a text message exchange between Agent Exum and someone whose name was redacted. Are they supportive? Big time. Everyone has been, including Chief Bovino, Chief Banks, Secretary Noem, and El Jefe himself, which Martinez's attorneys believe is a reference to President Trump. And Exum appeared to brag about his shooting accuracy.
5 shots, 7 holes.
Read it. 5 shots, 7 holes. The day after the shooting, Martinez was indicted. According to the complaint, she, quote, forcibly assaulted Martinez, which is proof as her, quote, forcibly assaulted an officer of the United States. But then in November, prosecutors made an extraordinary move and they asked the judge to drop their own case. And then the case was dismissed.
Now, that's, again, should she have been doing it? I mean, she was doing honking with like, people know. So yeah, I get it. Was she being a pain? I get it. being a pain doesn't mean you ram her off the road and try to shoot her and then celebrate shooting her and getting high fives and things like that. That's not cool. Last time I checked, we're supposed to have better morals than the fake left, but we've just jettisoned all that. It is now team party politics. Who cares? As long as my guys do it, it's totally legit. Here's more of a video from CNN right here. Again, all this is in the show notes. Check it out. It's in chronological order. Here it is. We've talked about this a couple times. That's just I'm always like, more videos come out on it. It's always good because a lot of people don't believe this is going on.
Imagine sitting in your car and an ICE agent walks up to you, points the phone at your face, and takes a picture of it. In seconds, the agent pulls up your personal data, including your location, social media history, and immigration status. And once your photo is taken, it's stored in US federal databases for up to 15 years, even if there's no match. This is what Immigration and Customs Enforcement has been doing to people across the US on a regular basis.
Making me a skirt? Yes, you're correct. You making me a skirt?
And it does so with a facial recognition app called Mobile Fortify. This app has become a hallmark of ICE arrests. Numerous videos on social media show agents armed with phones taking pictures of people's faces, sometimes even their license plates. Mobile Fortify's existence was first reported last year by US publication 404 Media and was later confirmed in a 2025 AI inventory by the US Department of Homeland Security. And as you can see in the inventory, the app was created by a Japanese corporation called NEC. The app has access to a wide range of government databases, including the FBI and State Department. That includes passports, visas, and criminal records. Facial recognition technology is normally used at ports of entry, but under President Donald Trump, it has shifted directly onto the streets. So what we're seeing now is everyday spaces effectively turning into checkpoints. This expansion, as a result, has become a flashpoint for privacy advocates. I spoke to Nathan Wessler, the Deputy Director with the ACLU Speech, Privacy and Technology Project, to find out why.
Congress and the Department of Homeland Security have allowed ICE and CBP agents to use face recognition in a very different context at the border itself to verify entry and exit. And in that context, US citizens have the right to opt out. Here we see these agencies giving themselves a completely new power, an extremely dangerous power without authority of Congress in what we think is a violation of people's constitutional rights. And these abuses have huge effects on people being snatched off the street without good reason, and then subjected to facial biometric scans by agents trying to figure out what their immigration status is with no good reason.
There's also the issue of misidentification. For example, 404 Media reported that in late January, the app misidentified a woman twice by returning 2 different and incorrect names.
Facial recognition technology is notoriously inaccurate. It makes mistakes all the time. And it makes mistakes particularly frequently when used on people of color and when used in real world conditions where people may not have their faces fully turned toward the camera, where there may be variable or low lighting. These are exactly the situations where this technology is being used.
There's also the legal aspect. The Department of Homeland Security says the use of Mobile Fortify is lawful, but not everyone agrees. The state of Illinois and the city of Chicago have filed a lawsuit against DHS. They argue that the use of Mobile Fortify is indiscriminate and violates people's privacy by scanning their faces without consent. Besides Mobile Fortify, ICE is also expanding other surveillance methods. The Wall Street Journal reported that the agency has greenlit a tool that can scan people's eyes and funded AI companies to locate immigrants. This expansion isn't slowing down anytime soon. Right now, ICE is the highest funded law enforcement agency in US history, allowing it to rapidly add new, powerful tools to its arsenal. But these surveillance tools are blurring the line between national security and individual privacy, where apps like Mobile Fortify have effectively turned the US into a checkpoint society.
Let's take Al Jazeera to figure that out, huh? We can't get it. We can't get anybody doing this. Handsome at any cost. There's something about, what is it called? Looksmaxxing. No idea what this is. I saw it and I thought it was clownish anyways. Brandon Pierce knows as a clavicle has emerged as a beacon for a group of narcissistic, status-obsessed young men. He wants to take his fixation with Looksmaxxing mainstream. Again, have no idea what that is, but it sounds dumb. The Hill, where are all the don't tread on me Americans? I'm one right here. Darn skipping. There's a reason why we are seeing Minneapolis and elsewhere in the U.S. the result of the Trump diminished a belief that illegal immigrants don't have the same constitutional rights as the rest of us, which Justice Anthony Scalia has said it is. As President Trump put himself, if people come into our country illegally, they're a different standard. The General Counsel of the Department of Homeland Security even claims there's a broad judicial recognition that illegal aliens aren't entitled to the same Fourth Amendment protections as U.S. citizens. That's factually incorrect. There is no such broad judicial recognition. It is also completely misunderstands the point of having constitutional rights in the first place. See if there's going anything right. I'm telling you, Scalia said that. You can look that up on there. If you don't like it, say, no, Steve, you're wrong. I have a challenge to all the patriots out there who fly "Don't Tread on Me" flags and talk about upholding the Constitution. I'm right there with you. I got a challenge too. Man up. This is your moment. You spent your entire lives talking about resisting tyranny, and now you're bootlicking. Now is the time. Now it is happening right before our eyes, like in 2021, 2020, 2021. Freddie was not just a cosplay page. He dared exercise First, Second Amendment rights. And that's, he shouldn't have been killed, but it's not his First, Second Amendment rights. Yeah, that's what Congress cannot do. That's depending on Minnesota if they have it or not. And you see, if you oppose tyranny to people in Minneapolis or your brothers and sisters' arms, regardless of what you think about them. Yeah, I'm fine with Minnesota doing what they're doing. It's don't come into my land and do that. A man was running from police. 8 llamas caught him. Apparently, how's that? Maybe he was overweight or something. Heidi Price pulled up to her home last week after a long day working as a psychiatric nurse and found her road in Derbyshire, England, lit up by police cars. When we got out of the car, I saw the officers and her partner, Graham Oliver. And apparently, got chased down by llamas. Trump says he will issue an executive order to get voter ID requirements before midterms. Trump says he will introduce an executive order because that's what it is. Remember Obama? I rule by a phone and a pen. An executive order on the topic shortly. Trump has advocated for a national voter ID requirement and a national ban on non-citizen voting, but you'll still get the digital ID out of it. He also said he doesn't need Congress. Even Massey's for this. I can't believe that one. Massey's for it, but I mean, not like I see it. Stephen A. Smith from ESPN tells CBS News he's not ruling out 2028 presidential run. You talk about a clown show now. I love to be on the debate stages against some of these individuals. Wait till he gets on the AOC, Stephen A. Smith, Cackles. Who else? Gruesome Newsom. I don't know who else would be out there for it. It'd be entertaining just to watch the idiocracy that goes on. Let's see who else. Glenn Greenwald. This is a DJT post, Truth Post social post yesterday. Relations between Venezuela and the United States have been, to put it mildly, extraordinary. We're dealing very well with President Delcy Rodriguez and her representatives. Oil is starting to flow in large amounts of money, unseen for many years, will soon be greatly helping the people of Venezuela. Marco Rubio and all the representatives are doing a fantastic job. But we speak only for ourselves. We don't want to be here and want to hear any confusion or misrepresentation. There's a story about a man named Harry Sargent III in the Wall Street Journal. He has no authority in any way, shape, or form to act on behalf of the United States of America, nor does anyone else that is not approved by the State Department. Without this approval, no one is authorized to represent our country. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Trump. Glenn Greenwald. I doubt the people celebrating the liberation of Venezuela when the U.S. took Maduro anticipated that the whole government would stay and Trump would be saluting President Delcy Rodriguez. Again, U.S. foreign policy is not about liberating people. That's just the pretext. Remember yesterday or Wednesday, the party balloons. FAA surprise El Paso airspace closure fuels questions. Now, part of it, I heard a couple guys say, that, the shutdown thing and all that did make sense you don't know what it is. But then afterwards, when you find out that it's Party City balloons, you might as well say, hey, yeah, we kind of overreacted. This is what's happened. Just to kind of stay on, keep people liking you and, they'd be truthful. But yeah, party balloons. That explanation is not put to bed. Questions about why the FAA acted alone, why the decision was reversed so quickly, and CBP's role in the preceding events, or why officials defended the move as a necessary response to address the cartel drone incursion. Sorry, I see a couple texts coming in that make sure, I'm going to check that out later. U.S. is sending its largest warship to the Middle East. The USS Gerald R. Ford will join another aircraft carrier and 9 other warships because war. Good God, y'all, what is it good for? We're going to bomb. We can. Who wants to put it together a CD? We could put together 12 songs right now of bombing Iran and things like that from the last 12, 20 years. This just in, U.S. military is preparing for the possibility of a protracted and sustained weeks-long military campaign against Iran if the peace president orders an attack. Did I say peace president? I meant, did I say death camps? I meant happy camps. Generals singing in their masses, just like witches at black masses. War Pigs edition. Trump will be very traumatic if no. It will be very traumatic if no Iran deal. U.S. smuggled thousands of Starlink terminals into Iran during the protest. Russia willing to keep new start limits. Russia evacuates tourists from Cuba amid U.S. fuel blockade. U.S. confirms withdrawal from Syria base because they got everyone in Iran. It's the this is the Super Bowl coming up. IDF troops launch new raids in southern Syria. Lebanon to debate of effort to monopolize arms north of Litini River. Palestinians along Yellow Line face daily attacks. IDF kills Palestinian man northeast in Gaza City. Israeli rabbinical judge boasted about destroying Hamas homes in Gaza. U.S. bombs Somalia for the 30th time this year. Hey, they've taken a couple of weeks off. It was 28 at the end of January. They just got back into it. The EU considers going through a batting slump. EU considers establishing military bases in the Ukraine. Here's Iranian protesters burn an effigy of the satanic figure Baal depicted with the Star of David while chanting death to Israel. Baal is a symbol of Satanism, elite corporation, child sacrifice, linked directly to pedophiles like Jeffrey Epstein, and Israel is all about abortion, gay marriage, all that stuff. Pennies to popsicles, there's going to be a war coming up. Dave DeCamp, war is coming. Trey Yingst, U.S. military equipment continues to flow into the Middle East. Around 150 C-17 and C-5 transport planes have flown to CENTCOM's area of responsibility over the past month. U.S. fighter jets have already been repositioned to regional countries. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group remains in a perfect name for a strike group. Remains in the Arabian Sea, and the USS Gerald R. Ford will deploy immediately to the Mediterranean. The entire military should refuse to obey orders to go to more war against Iran for Trump's frequent visitor. Yeah, notice, weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. 30,000 killed by the regime. Yeah, notice Bibi comes in town, talks a little bit, gets out of town. We're ready to go to war. All right, Bibi gave us our directions. They will fire every missile. Iran braces for worst case Iran scenario. With Arrow and David sling batteries, a large naval and air and naval deployment, and U.S. interceptor systems, Israel is preparing to defend its home front if Iran talks collapse, including a scenario in which Tehran launches a massive missile barrage as a last resort with possible international backing. Actually, you worry about Israel on that because here is Seymour Hersh's book on the Samson option. If you know the story of Samson, which I hope you do, I'm talking to you, Mark. I know you know that, right? This is, first off, I have this link in the book, a link underneath if you want to check it out, or buy the book, The Samson Option by Seymour Hersh. So I've been recognized as one of America's top investigative journalists, blah, blah, blah. Hersh has been, already said that. He is a recipient of the Jacketed Book, more than a dozen major journalism prizes, including the Pulitzer, blah, 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 blah. The new book in recent years better demonstrates the dangers of having such a reputation than Hirsch's The Samson Option. It purports to offer the inside story of Israel's nuclear arsenal and the activities of its intelligence service, the Mossad. Yet virtually none of the book's newsworthy findings is they're saying it's wrong. Okay. In fact, many of Hirsch's claims are all right. I thought it was going to be a better thing. Oh, it's by Israel. I'm sorry. I was trying to find a comment there. Most of it is just talking about buy the book. Anyway, what the Samson Option is about is imagine pushing it down. They will bring everyone down if they're attacked like that. They think their back's against the wall. They're launching everything. That's what they're talking about on this. Steve was going to join Planet Fitness, but if we're all going to be blown up soon, should I bail on that? I get at least the water massage. Do you have the Premier package? Because they have a water massage chair. A friend of mine that goes, he's old and he gets the silver sneakers thing. He loves that thing. He said he joined it just for the chair. I don't have a clue about it. I went to phone-free silence. Something disturbing happened. Stockbridge, Massachusetts. I went to rehab recently. It wasn't to treat substance abuse, although both drugs and alcohol are banned in the facility I checked myself into. Rather, I went to free myself from the noise that is disrupting our mental health in the 21st century. I shut off my phone and laptop and locked them away for 3 days. Autonomous truck operator expands to Phoenix. Aurora Innovation, the autonomous commercial trucking company, is beginning routes to Phoenix from Fort Worth. The line stretches more than 1,000 miles across 3 states. It takes about 15 hours to complete. The nonstop route exceeds the legal hours of service standards by human drivers set by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Human drivers can drive a maximum of 11 hours according to rules set by the administration. The extension, because that's in the Constitution somewhere, I made up. The extension to Phoenix comes with the company's latest software launch and triples the size of Aurora's driverless network. The launch also now allows trucks to operate in inclement weather like rain, fog, and heavy wind. According to the American Trucking Association's 1.1 million new truck drivers will be needed over the next decade to meet freight demand. The company plans to expand driverless operations into Nevada and most of the southeastern United States, the company announced in its fourth quarter earnings results. Customers in Aurora include drive Sam Pitt, blah, blah, blah. Some of its trucks are operating with onboard humans monitoring safety. Well, that's cute. That's kind. I'm glad. Are they taking a nap? Pancreatic cancer explosion as cases surge in young people. Survivors reveal subtle early signs that are easily dismissed, and doctors share lifestyle tweaks that help prevent it. Not today, cancer. See, I'm just looking to see what they say about the fixing up. I don't see it. Oh, maybe it's associated with smoking, analyze long-term obesity, poor control, diabetes, increase the blah, blah, blah. Yeah. They look unhealthy. That's because the food and the lifestyle and the food they have is terrible. Here's CDMX is in Mexico. They're going to verge of mandating measles vaccines for World Cup attendees in Mexico. Robert Kraft turned Patriot Stadium into a spy center for Israel. His Blue Square watches and store every post online against the Jews they claim is for safety. I can't play it because CBS. Everyone watching the Olympics is buzzing about $150,000 flying robots. Drones have brought viewers closer to the athletes than ever before, and pilots behind them have been top of their game. There's some autonomous too, but yeah, again, these are some of the stuff that's like, this is scary good. Speaking of Olympics, Winter Olympic Village runs out of condoms after 3 days. Athletes in Italy have been promised more will arrive. They haven't been provided since the 1988 Olympics. Again, Clown Planet. Here's the medal table. U.S. is in third behind Italy and Norway again, which is funny because if you end up adding up all the EU countries that are involved, they would be kicking the tail at the United States. Because how big? Let's here's a thought experiment. Here's Italy compared to USA. How big is Italy compared to a state, U.S. states? Yeah. How is a good one for here? Good numbers. All right, I say California. Yeah, look, California might be a little bit bigger in land, but say California right there. Okay. So California alone, U.S. states, U.S. That's France. I just like doing this sometimes. Did it a couple times before. Texas. Okay, so Texas, roughly around there. So just to give an idea, I'm just trying to give you to show that all these, Germany, France, Italy, they're just a state that equals country. This is the United States, United Countries of America. The EU should come out and say, hey, we're going to create the EU to go against the states. They would blow the states out of the water. Someone had this. I didn't have this on my my card today. Canada is cheating in curling. I didn't know you could cheat in curling. Apparently, his finger is not supposed to touch the rock, and I don't know how's that move anything. I think they says 25 yards away. If that's again, how's that do anything from anybody? Still, it was bad. He got caught right-handed and dropped a couple F-bombs, but like you need to cheat. He should be smoking a cigarette and doing that. And here's history at the Olympics. 54-year-old curler Rich Rohan waited more than 30 years to make his Olympic debut. With the U.S. game out of reach, they got shellacked. His team subbed him in, making him the oldest American ever to compete in the Winter Games. Picking up beauty. There he is right there. Look at his excitement. No, now, to me, being somebody that's completely ignorant of the sport, I'm going, that's a horrible role. You waited all your life to do that, and that's the best you got? Come on, throw a dart. It's ice. It's shuffleboard on ice. Shuffleboard on ice. But yeah, what do I know? This day in history, 2000. Farewell to Peanuts. The last Peanuts comic strip was published just hours after the death of his creator, Charles Schulz. 2016, Anton Scalia died in Schaefer, Texas. I remember that when that happened. I was on a plane, I think, saw that happen. 2008, Kevin Rudd, the Prime Minister of Australia, apologized to Australian Aboriginal peoples for abuse they have suffered in earlier administrations. 2002, the Scottish Parliament passed the Protection of Wild Mammals Bill, which made it illegal to hunt wild mammals with dogs, outlawing fox hunting in Scotland. 1997, the Dow Jones Industrial Average finished above 7,000 first time. Just think about that. First time, 1997, first time over 7,000. It's over 50 now. You can tell because Bondi told you. 1960, France detonated the first atomic bomb in the Sahara. Its first atomic in the Sahara Desert. 1950, Peter Gabriel, lead singer of progressive rock band Genesis, before launching a successful solo career, was born in England. 1935, Bruno Hampton was convicted of kidnapping and murdering 20-month-old son Charles. Humpman was executed more than a year later. 1883, Richard Wagner died in Venice at age 69. 1692, Scottish soldiers under Archibald Campbell, 10th Earl of Argyll, slaughtered members of the MacDonald clan in Glencoe. after their chief Alexander MacDonald missed the deadline for swearing allegiance to King William III. Make sure you get on deadlines. 1689, following the Glorious Revolution, William and Mary were proclaimed King and Queen of England. When you hear about William and Mary College, that's the William and Mary is named after. They ruled jointly as King William III and Queen Mary II until their deaths in 1694. Pretty sure that Maryland state is named after the Queen Mary right there, that same one. People think it's named after Our Lady. It's not. It's Queen. Remember, Maryland, they say it's a Catholic state. It was illegal to hold office as a Catholic in the state of Maryland. It was tolerant of Catholics there. John Milton published his first political tract, The Tenure of Kings and Magistrates, in 1649. 1542, King Henry VIII of England had Catherine Howard V, Henry's 6 wives, beheaded on charges of adultery. Anyways, have a great rest of the night. Well, yeah, that was over an hour. It didn't feel like it was over an hour. I thought I kept it left more on the field. Anyway, have a great weekend, great rest of the night. Again, wrong button. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. Thank you for hanging out for us tonight. Start early so I can get out early, do a little couple things, hang out outside a little bit, get some reading done, maybe come back here, pound some stuff away later. Have a great rest of the night, great weekend. See you on Monday for Black Pill Monday. God love you.